Okay, all right. So you're very much welcome. It's a joy and a privilege to have you here this afternoon. It's always a joy when I get to speak to engineers and, like you just told me, you're, IT, different people at different stages of their life. And actually, IT, which is industrial training, is it was one as a student, after going on my industrial training, that was when I made up my mind that, you know what, I'm happy to be an engineer, okay? Because I thought it was great. So I hope it goes well for you at the same time. But yes, so I'm just going to introduce myself and then we're then going to go on. So my name is Tolulope, okay, right? And I'm a materials engineer. So materials, which is for a lot of people in Nigeria, there's metallurgy and materials. So I'm a materials engineer, okay? And I think I finished 12 years ago now as a student. And since then, I've actually been working in engineering and it's been great. So one of the things, thinking about International Women's Day, which is today, 8th of March 2022, one of the things I thought was important that we highlight, and then the team breaking the bias and break the bias, I thought it was really interesting because, like I said in one of my posts, women face a lot of bias generally, but I feel it's this double bias for female engineers. And I feel like, you know what, we are getting to that point in the world whereby we need to start talking about these things and talking about how to, because a lot of the bias, sometimes 50% of bias is conscious bias. People are, they're willingly a bias against women, biased against female engineers. But I think there is another 50% of it, there is a lot of unconscious bias. And so, that's why we're having this event today, just talking about how do you navigate through all of these different barriers as you go on. I'm sure for those of you that are students, you already come across this in your studies. When I was in uni, I was just one of the 2 girls in my class. So it was really interesting how things always played out and all of that. But yeah, I learned fast and learned how to roll with the boys, quickly. But as we went on, it became obvious that, I needed to learn, there are a couple of skills that I needed to learn to be able to cope as a woman in engineering or as a girl in engineering. I'm still a girl, as a girl in engineering. And, I've taken those lessons I've learned from uni, from my industrial training, and from my, years of experience in the industry. And I've put them together today. I thought it's important to share this lesson so that we can pass them on, and also so that, the ladder is shorter for the women that are coming behind me, or they're already in, doing similar things, but they're just looking for ways in which to do it better. So, like I said, my name is Tolulope. Okay, I'm a materials engineer. I work with an energy consultancy firm here in London. But yeah, I'm a Nigerian girl, always. Once a Nigerian, always a Nigerian. I'm so proud of being a Nigerian. And so it's my privilege to have you here today. And so one of the first things I wanted us to start talking about today is, what does bias look like? And because if we don't know what bias look like, we wouldn't know when we are facing bias, okay? And I'm going to give you an example of what bias look like and how to thrive in engineering. While I was a student, we had this lecturers, we had the boys. I was most engineering females are really serious. Anyway, you hardly find an engineering female or girl that is not serious, because they are always really, 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 serious and academically sound. And so I had this lecturer of mine that, it comes to our class, everyone gets really very scared. By the way, I schooled in Nigeria, Federal University of Technology, Akure. And everyone really keeps quiet when he's talking and all of that. He's the kind of person that asks us questions. I said, do you have any question? And you dare not say, I have a question. He just says, do you have any questions? And nobody will be able to see anything. So one day, he then asked us, do you have a question? And then I had a question. And then I raised up my hand and I asked my question. And guess what it said next? You are too authoritative for a female. I'm like, boy, you asked if I had a question. But why would you be saying I'm too authoritative for a female? Just because I was able to stand up and ask my question in a very correct manner, it's sort of like, maybe intimidated him in a way. And I wasn't trying to prove anything. I was just trying to be myself and ask the question. But then I realized that first, he didn't want anyone to ask him a question, which is generally, what happens with some lecturers. But also, it felt like there was an audacity for me being a female asking him that question. And he was the one that asked us, do you have a question? And I actually asked my question. So generally, it felt like as a female, I should not be able to express myself. I should not be able, in a class full of guys that are afraid of him, I should not be able to step up to the plate and ask my question. And, I think that was where I started realizing that, okay, if somebody tells you that you're too authoritative for a female, that means if one of my male classmates had asked him, he would have probably answered the question. But the main problem now was because I was female, and he felt, you're too authoritative for a female. You shouldn't be well-spoken. You shouldn't be well put together as an engineering female. And so that's where I start from today, because sometimes we don't realize what bias looks like. And so how did I thrive through all of that process? I ended up doing very well in this course. But, as I had moved on from uni, even to the working environment, when I went on my industrial training, it was such a very interesting experience, because once again, I was doing my industrial training in a factory of about 800 men, and I was the only female. And interestingly, on the day I resumed, the HR business partner saw me. I'm like, what are you doing here? I said, I'm here to resume my IT placement. And she said, no, we didn't take you. We must have taken a gap. Because I said, no. He said, what is your name? I said, Tolulope. She said, oh, do females bear Tolulope? So she was from the southern part of Nigeria. So she said, do females bear Tolulope? And I said, yes, ma, they do. And she was like, oh, I think we have a problem. And I was like, what problem do you have? She said, well, if we knew that you were a lady, we wouldn't have taken you, because we don't have any facilities that support ladies in this factory. And I understood what she meant immediately, because it was a dusty environment. So we had to wear covers. And with those covers, we have to then change at it. When you come in the morning, you change into your covers. I don't know if you've been to factories where there's a lot of dust. And then when you're going home in the evening, the guys, they have their bath, they change into their fancy clothes back, and they go back home. But apparently they had open bedrooms. They didn't have anything. They didn't have female toilets. They didn't have anything that suits a female like myself. But she was like, oh, I don't know if you're going to be able to cope. And I said, well, I will be able to cope. And so I started wearing my clothes, maybe just look for a corner, trying to change my clothes. Then somebody in my office came up with an idea, one of the guys, and said, why not let's go to the HR office whereby we have females? Maybe you can always go to their office to change and use their toilet. And that was a great idea. That was how I survived that. Because then every morning, I then had to work about 15 minutes from the factory to the HR department. I would change my clothes to the covers, and I'll come back, and then in the evening, I do the same thing. I just try to go during the day once to maybe use the ladies in the HR office. But, these are the realities that female engineers face. And this has been my experience. And, from then on, I started to just notice how we did things. It became I'm almost sure that, if there are 10 engineers in a place and I'm there, I'll probably be the only female. Okay. So I started looking at it that, okay, how can I accept it? How can I use this to my advantage? Now, to be honest, I've had a mixed reaction in my working life to how people relate with females in engineering. Some people are very they are very very masculine, like they don't believe, they believe that brain has a gender. So, whatever you're saying, the fact that you're a female just means it's not correct, or just means it doesn't matter. But I've also had some other people that have really given me opportunity, just like that industrial training I said I did. And I had a boss there, Mr. Austin Okafo. And it was really one of the people that championed me. And like I said earlier, my industrial training experience is still one of the reasons why, is one of the levers, let me say, that's helped me to still cope in engineering today. So, having said that, what are the things, because I found out that you have to first realize as a female in engineering that there is bias, and also that you are outnumbered. And if people realize that early, I feel it will really help to navigate the terrain of being a female in engineering. And what do I mean? There are so many things that people have in their heads from movies. Some people have never seen a female engineer before, even though they are male engineers. And I remember when I told somebody in my mom's shop that I was studying engineering, like, if I had 1,000 naira for every time somebody asks me what I do, and I tell them I'm an engineer, I should be a billionaire by now, because they just get this look of shock on their faces. And some of them just quickly then appraise you. They look at you up and down. They try to gauge, really, are you serious? People go from confusion, like, are you serious? Then they go for, are you brilliant enough? Then they go for, are you tough enough? To do engineering. And that's what I've gotten, all through my life. But one that I've found that's really helped me, I'm going to be sharing a couple of things today. And one of them is called the FFF, which is I'm going to tell you what each F means. There are 3 Fs in it. And I believe that if you operate those 3 Fs, this is what I've operated in my career. And I've moved up from being a student, being an industrial training student, graduating, doing a master's, started working as a graduate, then worked as an engineer, and then working as a senior engineer at the moment. And I found out that, I've implemented these 3 principles that have really helped me over time. So the first F, I would tell any female in engineering that they really need to implement to help them to move forward is focus. The first F is focus. So many people, I remember growing up, when I was telling my dad I wanted to be an engineer, my dad, thankfully enough, he supported me. He said, yeah, that's good. He really liked it. But as I grew older, every time we tell people outside of my immediate family that wanted to be an engineer, they felt, no, why can't she do nursing? Or why can't you do microbiology? Or somebody even told me, why can't you? People say, your dad is a pharmacist. Why not maybe do medicine? You get, people couldn't just understand why you would choose engineering as a career. And to be fair to them, a lot of people as associated engineering with, something that requires physical strength. So when they talk about engineering, what they really think is that it is something that requires physical strength. Now, engineering requires some form of physical strength. We're going to get to that in a moment. But actually, 90% of what engineers, the real engineers, do. So there are different capacity to how engineers work. Okay, so the real thing the real capacity for engineers is in the brain work, and a lot of people don't know that. So that is where people are always like, you want to be an engineer? Will you see somebody that will marry you? Will you get a job? Are you brilliant enough as a female? And these thoughts are always going on in their heads. So I feel like if people knew that engineering is like 90% of it is the brain work, okay? So that's one thing about people. But if they don't know, you as an engineer, that a lot of it is the brain work. And if you don't know, let me tell you today, all right? A lot of engineering. Now, we're not talking about technicians, artisans, or something. A lot of engineering is the brain work, ability to be able to think of solutions to problems, ability to be able to calculate, ability to be able to do mathematical, numerical skills, okay? These are what makes up 90% of what you need to be an engineer, not the physical strength or 6 packs muscle that you need to be an engineer, okay? So the first thing is the people outside don't know, or other people don't know what it is. That's one set of people. So as a person, as an engineer, or an upcoming engineer, female engineer, you have to be focused. You have to know this is why I'm doing it. Because believe you me, you're going to get so many comments, unsolicited comments, unsolicited advice of what you should do as an engineer, or maybe the career doesn't suit you. So you have to be focused in your goal. You have to really be focused in your goal as an engineer. Also, you will get people that are already engineers, maybe male engineers or older engineers, older male engineers, and they're like, oh, when we were doing engineering, it's because they are not female, they feel like the capacity of intelligence is just domicile with them alone. And that's not true. Okay? There's a lot of research that says that the brain has no gender. Now, the way we use it when it comes to our emotions or anything, but the capacity is the same. All right. So, but there are a lot of, maybe older engineers, even some young engineers, touch that fact. They think that, oh, they are very intelligent and they can't just understand that you have equal capacity for the same level of intelligence. And so you will find that as you go on as a female engineer, there will be a lot of people that already have that in their heads, okay? And you have to stay focused because you cannot afford to listen to those people, or you cannot afford to be discouraged by those people, or you cannot afford to be distracted by those people. You have to really ensure that you are listening. You are listening, you are focused. I mean, you are really focused on your goal of being an engineer. That's really very important. If you're going to thrive, you need to be focused. And how do you get focused? First of all, you need to understand why you're doing it. Number one, understand why you're doing it, okay? Two, look for people that have gone ahead, okay? Take inspiration. If you're a female in engineering now, do you have any inspiration? Even if it's a male engineer, it doesn't have to be a female engineer. But if you have a female engineer as an inspiration, that is even good, all right? Take inspiration. Who do you want to become? You're not limited by anything, okay? You can create, you can innovate. Take inspiration from people that have gone ahead so that on the days whereby people question you or question your capacity for intelligence, you can say, you know what, I know what I'm doing. So it's not enough to just be able to say it, but you have to be convinced. And to be convinced, you have to be focused on your goal. So to be focused on your goal, you need to, you need to know why you're doing it, and also look for the people that have gone ahead. If you find female engineers that have gone ahead in the same field, brilliant, follow them, look at their inventions, look at their innovations, look at how they've gone ahead, okay? And that's really going to really be helpful to you, okay? That's number two. The other thing that you need to do is to place yourself where you see yourself, okay? As a female engineer, to be focused, you need to place yourself where you see yourself. So start thinking about it right from now. Where do I want to be? As an engineer, what is my 5-year plan? What is my 10-year plan? And I think that's one of the things that people that spoke to me 10 years ago, when they speak to me now, they're like, oh yeah, Tolu, you said this. You said this is what you're going to do with your engineering career, and you're doing it, okay? So have a set goal of what you want to achieve. Because sometimes what happens is even some students graduate from university and they don't get an engineering job immediately. And in that process, so many voices begin to speak to them. And people say, oh, can you just do this for the meantime? Why not do this and all of that? Now, it's good if you study an engineering degree and you decide that it's not for you. That's great, all right? But it must be your decision. You can't be forced into it. And so I see a lot of people letting go of their dreams just because of a dry season. So, that's why you have to be convinced. If people tell you, say, okay, even if you go on to do something else temporarily, I have a friend of mine, is an innovation engineer today, and he's in Germany, but he sold Indomie for 1 whole year to be able to sponsor himself to go abroad, okay? That is him still focusing on the goal, but, keeping soul and body together, which I understand might be necessary at times, but being focused on his goal and not letting it go of being an engineer. So that's great. Now, I think that's what I want to say about focus, all right? The second F is what I call firm, okay? Firm, F-I-R-M. As a female engineer, you need to be firm, okay? So there's this general outlook out there that, there's perception about female. A lot of people feel females are very light-hearted, they are not firm on anything. And so even as a female in engineering, when you have male colleagues or male lecturers or male supervisors or male people that report to you, they will always test your firmness, all right? And because they want to prove that after all, even though you are an engineer, you're still female anyway. And that's okay, all right? That's okay. I'm happy. I'm comfortably being a female, okay? I am so glad I am female, right? But I am still an engineer, all right? And so when it needs me to assert my firmness and authority in things, I do that. And somebody might be asking me, oh, I don't have anybody reporting to me yet. I'm a student. This, how do I establish my firmness? Oh, you need to start learning to do it now. I'm going to tell you an interesting story of what happened to me in my year 1 in university. So I made something similar to what I'm wearing at the moment, and to my hair actually. And so I sat in the lecture theater, and I had my classmates sitting behind me. Now this is what year 1. We had not known each other as much as we then ended up doing, but I sat down and I felt somebody tugged at my hair, pulled my hair from the back. I looked back and there were about 5 guys and they just smiled. They did it the second time. I looked back, they were really laughing at me. And then they did it the third time. And then I looked back and I said to them, if that person tries it again, and then it stopped. They didn't. Because they didn't know what I was capable of. You see, I said, if that person, I just stopped and I said, if that person dares tries it again, and that was it. And, as we went on, they used to call me Tasha in my class. As we went on all through the years, I spent 5 years in uni, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. I had that respect, okay? I had that respect. So you must earn your respect from colleagues. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to come to the next F, which is being friendly. We're going to come to that. But as an engineer, you need to be firm, okay? You need to be firm where you need to be firm. You don't allow anyone to ride you over, okay? That doesn't mean you should be rude. And we're going to come to that in a minute. Being rude is different from being firm. As an engineer, you need to be firm, okay? That means also you're doing the right things, okay? You're not the one copying another person's assignment. You're the one doing your own work, because you're not going to do anything that degrades you or your image, because you're already fighting against the bias, known and unknown. So you don't want to put yourself in a position whereby there is something wrong, or whereby you are in the wrong. I remember, when I was in uni, if I stay in class and lecturer was supposed to come, I will stay for the first 15 minutes. I will stay for another 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I'm going to carry my bag and leave. And when I carry my bag, my classmates are going to carry their bag and leave, because they were like, once to look and leave, that's the end. Because if the lecture is 1 hour and the lecturer has not arrived in 45 minutes, if the lecturer then asks me, I'll say, sir, I waited for you for 45 minutes and you didn't show up, okay? So, but I would never then, I almost never went late to class, because there's already a bias, all right? You don't want to feed that bias, all right? Don't feed bias. So you need to be firm on yourself, being disciplined on time, being firm about what you say. You don't want to have loose words. That doesn't mean, somebody says, oh, why is it harder for women? Oh, well, there are few women in engineering, there are few girls in engineering. So, while we are trying to make it better, encourage others to get in. But you must make sure that even while you are here, you're having the best experience. And one of the ways to have the best experience is to be firm in what you do. So you need to be firm in your speech. You need to be firm, being disciplined, okay? Don't be the person that is, don't be the person that is that can be easily picked on, all right? That's where I find that some female engineers lose it, okay? They want to be respected, but they don't do the right things, all right? And if you don't do the right things, somebody's already going to pick on you. So just imagine them now doing the wrong thing. I remember a lecturer once picked on me and I didn't do anything wrong. And somebody was passing and said, what is this girl's offense? And the person was saying, and the other lecturer said, no, I think you are mistaken. It can't be this girl. All right. And same way at work, okay? People say, oh, it can't be this person, because I am firm where I need to be firm and I do my work. You don't want to let your work slide, okay? Now, there are places in which you don't want to, you can't play the damsel in distress card and also expect to be respected. And this is why I find, okay? So you either choose one. Either you're the damsel in distress as a female engineer, whereby you just need everybody to help you with everything. You can, you're just playing the female card every time, that you can't really do anything. Even your knowledge and your intelligence, they will then say, oh, they will underestimate that. But ensure that, I am, how do I put it now? Ensure that you're not the damsel in distress, okay? Ensure that you're rising up to the responsibility, you're being firm, okay? All right, if you need to put your foot, if somebody, I know there was a time, and this is a very interesting one to say. There was a time in my class and there was a joke going around. And I know that this will happen these days now when we have mobile phones and people are watching different kind of things on phones. And there was a joke going around and they were teasing themselves, the guys, well. And somebody then said, oh yes, we saw Tolu there too. I'm like, where did you see me? And then everyone kept quiet because they know that they couldn't tell me what they were saying. Okay, so I won't be rude. I was always very friendly, but when it comes to being firm, and then I later discovered what they were talking about. And then I walked out to the person. I said, I respect you a lot. I said, please, but don't mention my name in that kind of statement, in that kind of conversation again. And they said, okay, yeah, I apologize. Okay, so you have to be firm. You have to be also firm, when your no is no, your yes is yes. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be flexible, but as a female engineer, I believe that you have to be firm. And also, as you go on to work for others, make sure that the clarity, you're clear on what your assignment is supposed to be, what you have been told to do, and make sure you do it, okay? And if somebody is trying to, I've been in cases, several cases whereby I've been on a conversation. This is very interesting. A couple of years ago, we were working for a client, okay? And the client was in a Middle East country, okay? And so I had been working with this client for a while. And then on this day, we're supposed to have a telephone conversation with the client. And as I got on the telephone conversation with the clients just started going off on me, just started saying different things, being abusive and all of that. And, knowing his background and knowing, the bias against women from his background, I thought, I could respond back to him. But I thought, okay, this is not the best way to do it. So I said to him, and this is something I wanted to share here that might help somebody. Then I said to him, I said, oh, Mr. Hay, you know what? I think these things you're saying, I shouldn't be the only one hearing it. I think you need my boss on this conversation. And then I said, you know what? I will just pause you 1 minute and I'll come back to listen to you, but I just want to get my boss on the conversation. And then my boss was across the table. It was an open office. And then I just said, please, can you get on the call? And when my boss got on the call, he couldn't say what he was saying again. And then I said, oh, Mr. A, do you want to just share your grievances with the company and just tell Mr. G, who is my boss, what your grievances are and, maybe, what you have against my personality. And it was speechless. He couldn't see anything. He couldn't see anything. He was like, he started mumbling, he started mumbling. And then my boss asked what happened. And then I explained, and my boss said, oh, did you actually do that? He said, no, I was just trying to explain to her that I was just trying to, he couldn't hold up to it. So, and from that day, he treated me rightly because he knew that I know what to do. So as a female engineer, always know what to do. Know what the jurisdictions have. Don't be rude, okay? Know what to do. Also know how to escalate issues. Not like you are going every 5 minutes reporting, but have a composure, compose yourself, and if anybody just does anything out of line, think about what's the best approach. Because sometimes people can be very abusive that they would taunt you to want to reply them. Never fall into that trap. It is the angry female phenomenon. Okay, they're looking for the angry female. They want to prove it. Okay, that you are angry. They want to prove it that females are unreasonable. They want to prove it that you're being ruled by your emotions. So always rein it back. All right, when you have a situation, always rein it back. Look at it and consider it. Take a deep breath. Like, okay, what's the best way to respond back to this person? Because somebody wants to be able to say to another, a male colleague wants to be able to say to another male colleague that you were abusive. And the other male colleague will probably believe, because they believe that women run their mouths. Okay. So if somebody does something to you, I want you to think about just rein it in. If you're the person that is very quick and sharp with your mouth, rein it in. Look for the poised, firm response to give. Responses that are that are delivered, when you deliver it precisely, choose your word carefully. Situations whereby people get to, people try to get you angry. They like to say, oh yeah, they tried, somebody once told me, oh, you're shouting now, take a grip on yourself, And I said, no, you were raising your voice, my voice is raised, I have a grip on myself. All right, do you want to start a conversation all over again? Okay, so you bring it back to them. Because they want to say, oh, you're shouting now. Do you want to agree? Another person once told me once, I asked for something I wasn't giving. And then I asked for it at another opportunity. The person said, oh, you seem you can't move on some things. You seem you are very emotional about it. I said, no, I'm not being emotional. I believe I can ask for this. Are you telling me that I can't ask for it again? If you're telling me that I can't ask for it again, that is fine. And he said, no, I'm not saying you cannot ask for it again. You see? So you need to learn communication, learn firm communication that is not rude, to be able to put people in their place and not putting them in, when you say put people in their place in Nigeria, it sounds very abusive, but no, I'm not talking about the abusive type. I'm talking learn the language of communication that allows you to communicate in a very, 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 very poised manner, that pass the message across. And rather than turning the light on you, you turn the light on them. Okay? All right, great. All right, the next thing I want to say is, can you still hear me? Just type in the comment section if you can still hear me, please. I just want to be sure you can still hear me. While you're saying that, I think we've talked about the first F, which is focus. The second F is firm. And the third F is friendliness, okay? Friendliness. And I think this is very important. This is very, very important for female engineers. Great. This is very important for female engineers. You want to be a friendly person, okay? You want to be a friendly person. And I think this also relates to the firm part of things. Because if you are not friendly, if they think that, some people will say, let me use Nigerian language, your face is just always strong. You get, they've already categorized you in a category, all right? So, but when you're friendly, it allows it to be a distinguishing factor between when you want to be firm and when you're friendly, okay? So like I said, in my undergraduate class, they knew me as a friendly person, but I was also firm, okay? I remember one person, one of the rough guys in my class once wanted to copy my assignment, and I said, you know what, you can't copy it. And he said, you know what, I'll just beat you. And I said, excuse me, so because I didn't give you my notes, you want to beat me up? Did you say that? You get, so I could be friendly, but everybody was going to say, it's not like that, it's not up to that, it's not, and people were just, I wasn't going to taunt him that, oh, come and beat me, you want to beat me, come and beat me. No, you don't do that, because he will actually beat you. He will actually beat you. But I was like, you know what, okay, sorry, did you say that because I did not give you my notes? It now sounds very silly, because it now feels very silly. I said, sorry, did you say because I did not give you my notes, you were going to beat me up? So, that doesn't mean that I don't have a sharp mouth to tell you, come and beat me, come on. No, you don't do that as a female engineer. You don't fall into that trap, okay? That's what people are looking for. You don't fall into that trap. So you need to be a friendly person, okay? And also being a friendly person gets you opportunities, gets you into the club. Remember, it's a male club already for female engineers. It's a male club. My office, for years and years, I've been the only female, right? And one of the things I try to do is, normally I bring my own lunch and all of that, but some days I just say, oh, they say we're going for lunch. I'm like, okay, let's go together. Are you getting me? I was telling somebody that my colleagues, before the pandemic, they actually go out about 2 to 3 times, in a quarter. Now, I can't go out 2 to 3 times in a quarter. That's my own personal choice. But I try to ensure I go once, okay? Because at the end of the day, the social life filters into the office, and they know where I stand, okay? They know where I stand with drinking, they know where, but drinking, whatever, but I still find the opportunity, the ones that I still find some common ground to relate with them, okay? Also, another thing, one of the things, personally, I'm not a dog lover, but I have several of my colleagues have dogs, have cats, and I can actually hold a dog conversation with you right now. I can talk about like 3, 4 species of dog and talk about them. Now, how did I know this? Because my colleagues have dogs and they always want to talk about their dogs. Okay, so I just thought, okay, listening, settling is and all of that. So sometimes when I come in on a Monday morning, they're like, I tell her, I'm so fine. So I then ask them, I know the name of their dog. I say, oh, I was Jackson this weekend. And then the person tells me, Jackson was good. I took Jackson to the park. And I'm like, oh, wow, which park? How big was it? And also, you need to learn to have conversations as people, because a lot of the time, a lot of females don't know how to hold conversations that are not emotional, right? So you must learn as a female engineer to hold conversations that are not emotional. Learn to be able to hold your own in a conversation, be able to, walk up to people, ask them, oh, so what do you do? Oh, yes, I do this, it doesn't pay you to be shy. All right. And I know everyone, we learn it, but as you go along, it's really going to be it's going to be a good arsenal in a very good tool in your arsenal to be able to know how to communicate, have discussions, hold intellectual discussions that are not emotional discussions, are things that you can just say, okay, all right, you can contribute to discussions intellectually. And that's why you need to keep on developing yourself, okay? You want to be able to contribute to what is going on. You want to be able to contribute. You don't want them to come now, for example, we currently have a war going on and somebody's talking about something, and you're like, oh, is this happening between Nigeria and Ghana? You're going to look very silly. They're like, where is this one? This one doesn't really know what is even going on in this world. So you want to ensure that your social skills are top notch, that you can be able to relate, be conversational with people. And I do that a lot. It's something that I have learned a lot. In fact, in the society where I live in, people hardly initiate conversations with people they don't know. But as an engineer, I've had to learn that. Maybe there's a new person, I'm working on a new project. I ask them, oh, okay, so what's your name? Oh, so what does it mean? It tells me, I'm like, that's great. In fact, that name also means so in my culture. Or this is how we pronounce it. You see? So it feels like, oh, and then it's like there's something that does to the brain of male colleagues. They feel like you can relate. They feel like we are at the same level. You get? A lot of them don't really know what to expect with female engineers because they've met females in other aspects of life and they've formed their opinions and biases as regards these females, okay? But, it's just like, oh, yes. I tell them, I'm like, okay, and that's how it works. So I feel like you need to really be able to hold conversations, be friendly, be a friendly person, okay? Ask questions, just be able to hold your own. If you walk into rooms, go to conferences, or even somebody in your office or in your IT place, just ask them, oh, I see you do this thing so well. How long have you been doing it? In fact, I'll tell you a story, which is, today is the day for stories. I'll tell you a story. When I was in my industry training attachment in a steel rolling mill in Lagos. So like I said before, I was the only female in the factory. I was already a sensation, all right? So people were always like, what's she doing here? What's she doing here? What's she doing here? So one of the things that I did, let me tell you a couple of things I did. First of all, we used to wear an helmet. So normally I don't take off my helmet in the factory because if you don't take off your helmet, we all really look the same, all right? We all really, really look the same most times. And I tried to make shots here once I realized I was only female in the factory. Now somebody said, why are you changing? No, I'm not changing. I'm not changing. I'm just evaluating my environment and finding the best way to deal with it. And that's what I want us to know, because a lot of people come with, oh, the men should change for you. And this thing. But the truth is, this is a factory of 800 guys, and they don't really have female industrial training people. So if you don't educate them, they don't even know how to change. Do you see? So you have to make it easy on them and yourself in trying to integrate. So don't fall into that trap of, oh, why is it the guys still shoot? It is good. And we hope that, with conversations that we're having and with teams like Breaking the Bias on International Women's Day, more men will begin to realize that their bias is conscious and unconscious, and it begins to break. But don't put yourself at the forefront of the fight of fighting for, oh, why not? Just ensure that you are holding your own corner. If you hold your own corner as a female engineer, you will find that you are able to proceed faster. This is how to thrive. If you really want to thrive, and you don't want to be frustrated out of it, this is how to try. So at the story I was saying about being a female in engineering, so about being in the factory. So then, when I first started my illustration, I was really intrigued because I've only done theories and a little bit of lab practicals in school, but these were like seeing big things I was just seeing things. I'm like, ooh, wow, seeing them in real life. And I remember one of the days I went to the electrical furnace and there were some older men there. And, as I was there, I was just like, they posted me there. And then I was asking them questions. And as I was asking them questions, they were talking and I was writing it down. And, these men eat themselves. They were like, she's writing what we are saying. Graduates is writing what we are saying. They were really intrigued. And me, I was like, oh, I'm just writing so that I can fill my logbook. I'm just writing so that I can fill my engineering logbook, okay? But they were really intrigued by what I was doing. They were really like, oh, she's writing what we're saying. She's this, she's that. And I was like, yes, I'm writing what you're saying. And, I started being friendly with them. All the things. In fact, my male colleague was saying, why is it that when you go to all of this, they show you even the things that they will not show us, the male IT students? It's just because, being friendly, asking them. Some of them tell me about their families and all of that. Somebody even told me, do you want to give me your number? Because my daughter, I want her to be an engineer like you. Correct engineer like you. I want my daughter to be an engineer like you. Do you see? That means they've seen something. That is how you shift mindsets. That is how we break barriers. We can carry all the placards that we want. We can write all the hashtags that we want. But it is how we actually use the opportunities that we have to communicate the message. And one of the ways of communicating that message, like I said, is being friendly, okay? Don't be the arrogant person. Don't be the arrogant engineer, right? Like I said, please, that doesn't mean you should be the person that is step on, okay? But be friendly. Be friendly. Any way you have, make sure that you're friendly. You can hold a conversation with people. You can actually, really get to know them. And also, just friendly. You can, if you're the type that like to throw banter, make sure you can throw banter, but don't allow them to lure you into lewd jokes, okay? But, throw banter, talk about it, pick things up. I remember one of my colleagues once, he was, he's way older than me, and his daughter was in the hospital, and, every day he comes in, I will ask him, how's your daughter doing? And all of that. And, the daughter was fine. And then the daughter then left the hospital and, then was going to have a baby. And then one day I got to the office in the morning, the daughter left the hospital. That was all I knew. And then one day I got to the office in the morning, I'd come in and he just came to my desk. I've been waiting for you. I've been waiting for you. I'm like, okay. He said, come, let's go to the kitchen. He said, let's go to the kitchen. And I went to the kitchen and he showed me the scan. Well, that's how we do here in the United Kingdom. We show scan. He showed me the scan. He says, my daughter, she's having a baby. I'm going to be a granddad. I'm like, oh, wow. He said, yes, I wanted to tell you first. So I wanted to tell you first. And that was great. And, up to today, that's one of the people that, I don't know if you've heard about having sponsors and organizations. That's one of the people that would speak for me anytime in my team. Okay, because it just feels like this person is friendly and can take it on. So that doesn't mean you should don't get into the trap of male-female relationship, all right? Don't get into that trap. Just keep it professional and keep it colleague, okay? So what I want you to always do is to always show that you are equal colleague. Now, that is not by coming to say it that, don't you know that brain has no gender? We are equal colleagues, or don't you know we both are brilliant? No. It's just by the way you relate, okay? Don't, if possible, don't go emotional on them, all right? They already have a lot of that going on outside. Just be able to hold an intellectual conversation. Be assuring that you're not letting your work slide, okay? Like I said, you can't play the damsel in distress card and also thrive at the same time in engineering. Because if you keep playing the damsel in distress card, they will just feel like they equate that with your intellectual capacity at some point, and you don't want to do that. So that's really, the three things I feel are really very, very important, which is, like I said, be focused on what you want to do, know why you want to do it, know why you started engineering, then be firm in your approach to superiors. To be honest, when I was a student, my lecturers respected me because I respected them, right? And I would not be rude to them. But if it comes to being firm, I was firm. And that's really helped me in my career. Even the people that report to me, I am firm on them, all right? I'm not trying to blackmail them. Don't blackmail them. Don't female wash them. Don't Don't always be the one that say we want to do something. Don't be, I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. They will equate your intellectual capacity to being tired. Now, that doesn't mean that you should do work beyond the capacity. No, but always be ready to do work at your capacity and to give a little bit more. All right. So that's really very important. Don't be, you know, it's not like every day they say, oh, we want to do this work. I don't want to say, I can't wait, I can't wait, I can't wait every day. There must be one day that you can wait. Now, like I said, we can wait all we like on this side of the device, on this side of the divide, and wait till the men get it and come to us. And then we are frustrated in our career, can't move forward, and just have a very, very ugly one. Or we can decide by the way we act to give opportunities to the men in our career to actually follow through. Okay, so that's really very great. And that's really the three things I wanted to, the three main things I wanted to share here today. So before I wrap up with one last thing I wanted to share, I don't know if you have any comments. Do you want to see anything? What did you get from that? You can unmute yourself, or do you want to type in the chat? What stood out for you there? What stood out for you there? Do you want to type in the chat? Just let me know. You can type it, or you can unmute yourself in those things I've said. You know, and I hope that, you know, just taking those three tools, you can expand on it, but just ensuring that you are building on the foundation of being focused, you know, and also being firm and brain friendly. Okay. Do you want to say anything? Does anyone want to type in the chats? Okay, so what stood out for me was from your story is how you were able to remain focused in your engineering journey. Yeah, that's really very important. That's really very important. Thank you for that. That's really very important. And you know, a lot of people ask me, how is it that you're still in engineering? I'm like, yes, I'm in engineering because I love to be an engineer. All right, and that's how it should be. If you love to be an engineer, then you should be in engineering. Okay, but like I said, there will be naysayers. And some of these naysayers, they don't mean harm. Like I said, some people even think that they think engineering is 70% six-pack and 30% intellectual capacity. Okay. I've been on site, field site, you know, different times in my career, but majority of the time, I am at my desk as the same thing with other male colleagues, doing calculations, doing consultancy, okay, without leaving my desk. All right. Some other time I go on site visits and all of those kind of things, but I'm not carrying that man. I'm like, I'm making this thing because I'm an engineer. No. We have technicians, we have technologists, we have different people. Do you see what I'm trying to? So engineering is an high caliber intellectual capacity job. All right. It's not a same way people should then say to doctors, oh, why are you a female in medicine? Or why are you a female doctor? Why are you a female doctor? All right. And it's just like that, because engineering is just intellectual capacity. Most of it, 90% of it is intellectual capacity. So just read the next question. Okay. All right. He said, was there a time you almost gave up or a time you considered moving to another profession? What was that thing that made you hold on? Interesting question. Very, very interesting question. So, okay, I'm going to talk about two things. There was a time I got an opportunity during my NYSC in Nigeria to work in a bank. Okay, it was a flat out opportunity. They needed somebody to start immediately, and it was just going to be, I was already halfway to we're finishing the NYSC, and they wanted somebody to work in the bank, and I was going to, you know, just go on. And, you know, this is when you finish as a graduate, I think you're looking for a job, all right? And you want to just ensure that you get a job. So, what do they call them now? There's one of my inspectors, I think assistant area inspector, that's what they call them in NYC. Like I said, remember what I said about being friendly? Generally, even in life, you know, I've been very useful in what I was doing for them in NYC. She said, oh, she nominated me. And so, in fact, she even nominated me without, she just said, I've put your name in the bank. I want you to go and speak to them. She didn't even give me opportunity to say no or anything. So when I got the bank, the guy was telling me, oh, this is the salary and all of that. I want you to start next week. And I was like, sorry, but no. And he was like, how old are you? What's wrong with you? Do you have another job waiting for you? And he said, no, but I want to go and do a master's. And he's like, do you know that people even have masters that don't have jobs? And he was really, really sincerely trying to advise me. And at the end of the day, I turned it down. And I said, I explained to him, and I said, thank you very much. I'm not going to take it up. And he looked at me and he said, I wish you the best. Now, why did I get to that position? I was looking for a job, remember? But why did I make that decision? Now, a few years before, I knew somebody when I was in year 1, okay? This person was in year 5. And then he graduated and told us he wanted to do a master's, he wanted to pursue his field and everything. And at the end of the day, that was when Zenith Bank just started, this prometric test. And then he did the prometric test and he passed, and immediately he got a job in the bank fast, straight out of school. But that was, so that means by the time he got this job, I was maybe in my year 2 or year 3. But after spending about 1 or 2 years in that job, he was not happy. It wasn't him, even though he was getting the money. This is when banking was still a really big deal in Nigeria. He was getting the money, but was like, you know what? This is not really, I'm good at it, but this is not really what I want to do. And I said, okay, why not leave it? And he said, well, I'm trapped now. I'm already receiving this salary that people depending on me. What do? I can't leave it. And that really touched me. So the first thing is, I made up my mind that I don't want to do anything that I'm not happy with. So that's the very first thing. And I feel like it was important for me to share that background. I don't want to do anything I'm not happy with. Like I said, some people will study, not everybody that studied engineering will come out of it feeling like they want to do it or they want to pursue it. Because sometimes some people lost interest, sometimes people don't even see the point. And that's great. But if it is something that you really want to do, you need to set the stage early. You need to decide that, okay, you know what, no matter what happens, I'm not going to leave. Now, does that mean that you cannot do anything else in the interim? Now, for me, I couldn't do the banking job because I know that banking was not going to allow me time for anything else. And once I'm stuck, I'm stuck. You cannot even do part-time studies with banking. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So I knew I was going to be stuck. So I couldn't do that as a part-time thing. You see what I mean? So I feel like that was one time I had the opportunity. And also, why was that a time I thought I should give up? I would say yes and no. I'll say yes and no. There was a time it was really looking like engineering, all the companies were just packing up, going to Ghana, I just want to get a job and all of those kind of things. But because I was focused, I've already mapped out the plan. I'd already known before I graduated in uni that I was going to do a master's. And I mapped it out. Okay. So mapping out, having long-term goals really help you to stay focused. So that helped me to stay focused. In fact, by the time that bank manager was talking to me, I'd already paid 80,000 naira for my master's, to start my master's immediately after NYC. So I packed my bag from NYC on Friday. I resumed for my master's on Monday. Do you see? So focus and purpose and passion keeps you going. Now, does that mean that, because, we must be realistic, there will be times that maybe you don't get the kind of job or things that you want immediately. Yes, you can always do things in the interim, but just ensure that you are weighing the cost benefit of what you're doing. Because, like I said, I could probably sell a recharge card rather than take a bank job, because the bank job will not allow me any opportunity to follow on and pursue my dream. Maybe I will have been in the bank today and not talking to you here today. So in taking opportunities, you can learn skills alongside. I must also tell you that while I was doing my NYC, I was learning coding skills. Now, this was 11 years ago. I was learning how to code. Now, today, I'm not coding, I'm in engineering. But I was just thinking about what can I do? What skill can I learn that can help me? But I knew in my mind that I want to be an engineer and I want to stay being an engineer. But I was just like, rather than all my NYC allowance, all the money I got, so it's not like I was rich or anything. I was just using it, putting it there, learning. I also learned, before then in uni, I'd learned some skills, also learn skills, all right? Because I feel like it is when sometimes when you can't get the job that you want, you can fall back on your skills. But a lot of the time, a lot of people graduate without having any skill. So learn additional skills. There are skills that you can learn. People used to make hair, but even now there are even more skills, data analysis, different things that you can learn. But just ensure that you don't let go of your dreams and you don't let money. Just be able to, ensure that you can survive. Ensure that, we don't want you not being able to eat or anything like that. Ensure that you can survive, but ensure that you also pursue your dream. Because I am happy today that I am pursuing my dream. All right. I don't think I will have been fulfilled in that bank job. You see what I mean? So pursue your dream. Also pursue opportunities. Pursue opportunity. Like I said, look at people. I already knew if I wanted to work in Nigeria, this is the kind of company I would like to work in. Pursue opportunities. Speak to people. If I used to tell people that when you go for Christmas break, one of the lesson sessions I took previously, I said, when you go for Christmas break, don't just be all those uncle that are just giving you 500, 1,000, all of that. Just talk to them that I'm graduating soon, and I'm looking for an engineering job. Also, know the kind of conversation that you need to be having with them. Just create opportunities for yourself. But you can learn skills. I feel like the two things is know your why, okay, and set your boundaries, and also learn skills. Because I feel like sometimes it is frustration of not even having any money that makes people to just decide, you know what, I'll just do something else. So if you never get to your rock bottom, it might be easier. It's not easy to tell an hungry person that tomorrow will be better. It's like, what can I eat today? I want to eat. I'm hungry today. What can I eat today? So it's not easy to tell an hungry person. So I feel like ensure that you have skills. These days, there are a lot of skills. Virtual assistant, graphic skills, Canva, different skills that you can learn. They don't have to be your core. Even as of now, I'm still learning skills that I had into myself, because there are things called multiple streams of income. And also there are other things I like to do. If I wasn't an engineer, I'll be an artist. I like arts. You get? So I'm also learning skills. And I believe that a lot of people have multi-potential. So you want to lean into that, but you want to ensure that you chase your dreams. I hope that answered your question. Does that answer your question? Okay, let me see. Do we have time for one more question? Let me look at if we have any question. Okay, great. Say yes, it does. Great. Let me see if we have any question on Facebook. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, all right. So there are quite a lot of people listening. Okay, so yes, that is, the 3 Fs that I wanted to talk about today, and I think it's important that, we break the bias. And, there's so much. Today is going to go, International Women's Day. I will come again next year with a new team. But I feel like, we need to have the tools that allows us to thrive correctly. We need to have the things that allows us to move forward. You can thrive. I can tell you I'm a testimony of thriving in engineering. If I can do it, you can do it, okay? And never feel, it can take you anywhere, all right? Especially in these days of migration and so many things happening. Just ensure that you are focused on what you want to get, okay? But ensure, like I said, learn additional skills. I feel like it is not having immediate needs met is what frustrates people out of this career. So really, and also remember what I said, be focused, be firm, and be a friendly person, okay? And one of the assignments I'm going to be giving you today is, if you're a shy person, even if you're not a shy person, learn how to carry out intellectual conversation with people, all right? That's really very important, because a lot of people, when they see women or girls, you can't understand what we are saying. You're not intellectually compatible. You're not this, you're not that. You get, but it's very important that one of the ways to break that bias and to move forward is to actually ensure that you can carry out intellectual conversation with people. I hope that with all I've said today, it will help you to go on and thrive in your career. Just take these lessons and thrive in your career. And I believe so much. There's so much opportunity. And also these days, one of the good things in the years we are living in now, for the past 3-4 years, is there's been a lot of focus on people, some people genuinely trying to understand this bias and trying to make it easier for women. So you want to ensure that by the time they now understand that there is a bias, you're already there. You don't want to fold your hands, and they're not like, we now have a slot because we realized there is a bias and you can't fill that slot. One of the things I say to people is, I don't just want to fill a quota for being a female. They're like, oh, we need to put a female, we need to put a female. Okay, let's just put you. No, I don't want that, because the day I speak, you just be like, oh, keep quiet. You're just here because you are just female. We're just looking for somebody, a dumb head to put. That's all. No, I want to come to the table because I am at the same intellectual capacity. So when you realize that you have been blocking me off from the table, by the time I come in with so much great insight. You'll be like, oh, look, we've really missed. There's a lot that we've missed. we wish you had you on board 10 years ago. What were we thinking? Great. And that's who I want you to be. That's who I want you to be. That's who I believe you can be. And I really believe that in this generation, if we would just, not be discouraged, hold on to our dreams, ensure that you live a life of fulfillment. It's good to be rewarded for what you do in terms of monetary terms. But, when it all comes down to it, living a life of fulfillment is what matters. So if engineering is going to make you fulfilled, like it has done for me, then go for it. Go for it. Nothing is stopping you. Let nothing stop you. All right. And so with that, I've come to the end of my presentation today. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been great. I don't know if you have any other thing to say, you want to ask any question, maybe random question, anything else, just before I go, but it's been great. Thank you so much. I'm going to send the recordings to you, but thank you so much. But let me also take this opportunity to invite you. We're going to be having a program, Eng Reality, which is an NGO called Engineering Empowerment Initiative for Africa, which I founded. And that is for all engineers anyway in Nigeria and Africa at large. And we are going to be having another event on the 26th of March, which is called Engineering Pilots Program. And that is title of that program is Unlocking the Future of Engineering in Nigeria. And that's both for guys and girls. So invite your friends. You can get the invite from me, all right, because registered for this. But yes, that's really been a pleasure speaking to you today. I hope to see you at that other event also, whereby we'll be talking about looking at people, hearing from people on how they've been able to actually, people say there are no engineering jobs. Where are they? We're going to find them on that day. So great. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. Thank you. God bless you and bye. Thank you very much.